This is a breaking news update with regard to the U.S.-Mexico border crisis. Immigration, illegal immigration, whatever you want to call it, still. Immigration, emigration, no, it's just migration now, according to the UN model. Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Alex Backman. Today is Saturday, January 12th, 2019 of our Lord Jesus Christ. It's 1800 with 15 minutes. I've been going through all the news for the last 2 weeks, trying to bring everything into perspective so you can be abreast with regard to the situation at the border between Mexico and Tijuana. The caravans are still here. The caravans are still moving, and in 3 days from now, a massive caravan that is being formed again in San Pedro Sula in Honduras by the same instigators and political agents or agent provocateurs that want to destabilize Mexico and also destabilize the border, affecting it economically by bringing it to a standstill, shutting down the border. And now it's been, 19-20 days since the government shut down because the Democrats do not want to give the American people a border wall, a barrier, where people can be stopped so they do not enter illegally into another country where laws are enforced. Now, American immigration laws are lax, very lax, because in Mexico, immigration law is enforced harshly upon anybody that dares enter Mexico. But we saw that changed last year, October, November, when a huge surge of tens of thousands of people stormed into Mexico via the Guatemala-Chiapas border region in order to get to the northern border between Mexico and the United States, the southern border for the United States with Mexico, and this created a huge border crisis. This crisis is not going away anytime soon because, from what I understand now, the new leftist government of Andrés Manuel López Obrador used this with the government that was before him as a political tool in order to get the United Nations Compact Migration Policy signed in Marrakesh, Morocco, back on December 10th. So now we have a situation where the Mexican government, the INAMI, which is the National Migration Institute of Mexico, which is the equivalent of ICE in the United States, they accepted, the Immigration Authority, Tonatiu Guillén, accepted that Mexico should not have accepted the caravans in the first place. You see? Now they're accepting it officially. But now, according to international human rights, Mexico has to receive another 15,000 that are going to come and storm through the border. How's Mexico going to react to this second wave of massive illegal immigration? How is this going to affect U.S.-Mexico policy at the border? Well, I'm just going to browse through some headlines with you and bring you a quick update. I'm not going to take too much time, but I do want to go through these headlines with you in Spanish and English so you can understand. And I want to close this video with also the mindset and the understanding that illegal immigration is being used as a weapon here by these people that are trying to use left-wing propaganda in Mexico to bring the United States to its knees with regard to illegal immigration. We could go, all the way down the rabbit hole, and I'll take you all the way to Moscow itself, if need be. but it's the communists, and I'm going to say it one more time. It's the left-wing socialist communists that want to attack America on all fronts. It's not only the Democrats or the Republicans that have also betrayed the United States and its people. It's whoever wants to destroy the last country that really protects freedom. And the Second Amendment, for example, is the United States. Mexico right now is in a very delicate situation. I have to inform you of these things. Down in Chiapas, Mexico, there are, in other states, Michoacan, Puebla, around Mexico City, you know that it has gotten to a point where violence has escalated. Now, with the new government that came in with Andrés Manuel López Obrador as president of Mexico, violence and homicides escalated even more. Just the newspaper out of Tijuana, Zeta, the Zeta newspaper, it has nothing to do with the cartel, just so you know. Homicide rates increased. 3,148 homicides just in 2018. That's the killings out of control. I want you to see these indicators. It's the average. The average right now is 260 per month. That's the average of homicide rates right now in just Tijuana. And they say that everything's okay. Now, Baja California is going to have elections this year. Okay? On the 2nd of June, we're going to have in Baja California governor and also mayors for all the five municipalities. So it's going to be very interesting, and also a congressman. So Baja California is going to become an epicenter for what's going to happen after, because the new leftist government and the new political party that came into power, Morena, which is the National Regeneration Movement that Andrés Manuel López Obrador, a hard leftist and pro-Nicolás Maduro supporter. Ambiguously, he says that he's going to respect all nations when the Lima court just signed a document where they do not recognize Nicolás Maduro as the narco dictator of Venezuela. He's not the legitimate president of Venezuela. He's been denied that by international councils even on human rights abuse and for killing off the Venezuelan people. It's a humanitarian crisis that has escalated to the point of genocide or democide when a government kills its own people off. So, one of the leftist congressmen, Fernando Gomez Noroña, I think his name, Francisco Fernando Gomez Noroña, he traveled to Venezuela to the inauguration address for a second term of power of 6 years for Nicolás Maduro, this horrible person that has extended his power. There was not a free election, and obviously the arrival of this Mexican representative, who is also a supporter of Fidel Castro, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, taking a picture with the rest of the gang, okay, is just a clear image being portrayed to the United States that Mexico has become a Venezuela supporter, a Daniel Ortega, Nicaragua-style type of government. It's very, very dangerous what's happening now in Mexico. And it's just as Hugo Chavez sold, when he entered power in 1999 in Venezuela, he sold all the airplanes that the government had. The same thing Andrés Manuel López Obrador is doing. He even got rid of the presidential airplane. He got rid of the whole helicopter fleet, and they're selling them in an airport in California, I believe. He also is changing the face of Mexico real rapidly economically. Right now in Mexico, there's a huge economical crisis with regard to the shortage of gasoline. Out of nowhere, this week, gasoline pumps started having problems in more than 10 states in central Mexico. Andrés Manuel López Obrador as President of Mexico said, it was because he's attacking gasoline theft by people that work inside Pemex, which is the Mexican Petroleum Company. The Paris, it's the government state-controlled company. Now, Pemex does have corruption in its capacity as an oil producer and also as a gasoline producer. There's so much corruption that they're siphoning off the gasoline. 80% of what's being stolen is employees of the corporation itself at a highest level, medium level, and lower level. And another 20% of the gasoline that's being stolen directly is being funneled out of the refineries in Mexico by organized crime. So there you go. So according to Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he shut off the valves in the pipelines that interconnect the states so all the gasoline can be distributed. He shut them off. Therefore, they couldn't steal anymore. And that's what he says created this shortage, when we know for a fact that the Wall Street Journal just published an article just yesterday announcing that in reality, Mexico has stopped importing gasoline since December at 45%. So now there's a clear sign that Mexico does not want U.S. gasoline anymore.
Chlorella is absolutely one of my favorite. This is matcha green tea. That's not chlorella. Chlorella, this is ashwagandha. Where's the chlorella? If you've ever been in a...
This is going to create a huge problem for Mexico because it's not independent energetically. And economic isolation by López Obrador, trying to, telling America, we don't want you anymore. I've seen the tweets from the youth movements from the Morena party, and they're celebrating that the Walmarts are empty in Mexico right now. You heard that right. They're celebrating. They're saying, we don't want any more Yankee products. You see, you are the imperialists. You are the evil ones. You are the ones that have Central America and South America, and you have Mexico in a peasant state status. You see? So they criticize America, but they love America with illegal immigration. Everybody wants to go to America. So now we have between 13, some estimates are different, statistics vary, from 13 to 30 million illegals inside the United States. In the 90s, there was this boom of illegal immigration into the United States, 1 million per year and so on. But they don't have their papers in order. Either they overstayed their visa, it doesn't matter. They're illegally inside a country, violating immigration law. So that's one problem that we have right now in Mexico. It's creating a huge crisis because people in Mexico City and other cities don't have gasoline in their cars, and they're trying to get to work and they can't. They're losing their jobs, and then the supply chain is being affected. Manufacturing supply chains are being affected, and now it's affecting the economy. The loss of just shutting off the pipelines by Andrés Manuel López Obrador, or AMLO for short, is creating this shortage in the first place, but also to cover up the fact that Mexico does not want U.S. gasoline anymore. Now, this is a huge story, by the way, with international implications. But now, with Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela, this narco dictator, coming to the inaugural address of Andrés Manuel López Obrador as president, him not ratifying or signing the Lima Accord against this dictator in power, giving these signals that he's a pro-leftist communist, Marxist, and Leninist is not very good for both relations for the United States and for Mexico. Now, another issue. There's paramilitary groups forming in Mexico. Well, they already formed. Basically, now they came out of the woodwork, and they're threatening. Let me see here. One of the leaders was in Michoacan, Dr. Mireles. They did a documentary on him. You remember that? About the problem in the border. and the problem with Mexican drug trafficking in Michoacan. Remember, I don't remember the name of the documentary right now. It escapes me. It's a very good documentary where they expose him. He's a Mason, by the way. He doesn't deny it. He flaunts his Masonic ring. And in the documentary, they expose him for being married, but at the same time, romanticizing with a 20-year-old girl. This guy has become the new Emiliano Zapata of Mexico. This is the guy who formed the self-defense forces down in Michoacan during the government of Enrique Peña Nieto. This is the guy who served time in Sonora and being used as a political prisoner who was released recently. This is the guy who's right now with Andres Lopez Obrador discussing in Congress the new National Guard. Now, this new National Guard that they are discussing is basically the militarization of all police forces in Mexico. This is the same as Hugo Chavez did. So you see, everything that Hugo Chavez did, AMLO is doing. And there's this one specific person of interest inside Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador campaign and inside his government that is also in Venezuela, coming and going as he sees fit. And he's a known terrorist from the Spanish, the Basque radical group ETA. Now, you can do the research, and I can verify it for you, and I can show it for you here on the screen, but you're just going to have to trust me on this, okay? We already exposed this, and also anonymous journalist group, Peje Leaks, because that's what they call AMLO here in Mexico. They call him Peje, which P-E-J-E, the Peje they call him, which basically is a form of, I don't know, it's an animal of sorts or whatever. So that's one of his nicknames, the Peje. Now, Mireles just threatened the Zapatista guerrilla, the guerrilla forces down in Chiapas. He just threatened them. They rose in 1st of January 1994 against the supposed government of Carlos Salinas de Gortari and Ernesto Cedillo. Now, the ZLN, the EZLN, or the National Liberation Zapatista Army, okay, was just threatened by Mireles. And he said that his self-defense forces are not only in Michoacan, they're in 28 of the 32 states of Mexico. And they are all in favor of AMLO. In fact, I just saw on social networks a video of them rising up in arms, with balaclavas and everything. Okay? Paramilitary groups supporting AMLO, okay, in his fight against corruption nationwide. So all I see right now, from Chiapas all the way up to Michoacan and all the way up to the border, is war coming. I see civil war, very similar to what happened in Syria. It's happening, people. Factions fighting against themselves. You have multiple paramilitary organizations being hired, not only by the organized crime groups, by the cartels. You have paramilitary groups being hired, also by AMLO. In this case, he has his own, what he called the tiger that would come out once he took power. This is his tiger. They even have these white polo shirts with a tiger here with this hat that made Mr. Mireles very famous, this cowboy-style hat. So these are the new National Guard, they call it, the new self-defense forces that are coming to power, which is basically his own private army of civilian supporters or a militia of sorts. Now, let's just, say this. The United States has a Second Amendment where it allows a militia to be formed in order to keep tyranny from, manifesting inside government. Mexico does not have a Second Amendment. And what Mexico needs as a solution to this problem is just to create a Second Amendment where the use of weapons can be legally, ascribed to all people, and the buying of weapons and legal firearms be regulated or being, normalized by a legal process. They have to pass a gun law, where in Mexico anybody could buy a gun now and be trained to defend their families. A lot of the crime that is spiraling out of control is because nobody can defend themselves, and we can see that that can be controlled by if the people knew how to defend themselves and they were trained to use weapons. But anyway, that's another issue. What's worrying me is what's happening south in Chiapas. Now, a lot of indigenous people are being displaced because of the violence, because of these groups, crashing into each other. The Zapatista Liberation Army against AMLO's private or AMLO civilian militia force, whatever, or the self-defense forces. Put the new Caravan coming up the border into the mix, put in special interest aliens into the mix, put in all these people coming into Mexico, again, creating chaos along the border. So, the way I see it, with what happened in Tijuana in November and December, this is just going to get worse. Now, let's just cover some other topics that might interest you. Just recently, okay? Coming New Year, a Mexican tried to cross into the United States at Playas de Tijuana. He tried to swim around the wall, and he ended up drowning. Turned out he was Mexican, he was not Central American. Then we know that there was tear gas used along the border because hundreds of illegal aliens try to cross again through the border wall at Imperial Beach. Why would they do that? And then they show the canisters and they say, look, these are weapons of war. They're attacking us with tear gas. This is just incredible. Please take down the wall. We have a right to enter the United States illegally whenever we want. This is ridiculous. It's outlandish. It's not logical and nonsensical. But they're doing it anyway. They don't care about you. They just want to invade your country. And this is true. And they're dressed for war. They're insistent on entering a country without permission. This is a political force now. And we know they're being used. Some of them are not. But some of them are. And we can't generalize because then I'll be flagged. Okay? Now, the mayor of Tijuana was silenced. He was silenced. Okay, here it is. The mayor will not speak badly about the Caravan because a federal judge, ordered him to be quiet about it. Can you believe this? Full out censorship in Mexico. They can silence a mayor now. Well, I'll tell you this. I got a letter too, telling me, hey, your freedom of speech rights has a limit. You can't speak badly about the Caravan. And I'm like, I'm not speaking badly about anybody. You can't generalize. I'm not generalizing. Some of them are sick, some of them are not. Some of them are criminals, some of them are not. But nonetheless, Mexico didn't ask for this. Somebody is using this for politics. And that's very sad because a lot of people are being displaced. The Caravan is displacing people from their homeland, lying to them that they will enter America without any resistance whatsoever. That's why they're so insistent, because they were told that Donald Trump was going to open up the border for them. And they believed it. We know that 80 to 90% of the asylum cases will not be approved, that the U.S. will not let them in. DHS already said it. Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen said, no, you're not coming in. We're sorry. Mexico's going to have to take care of this problem, and we'll funnel the money into Mexico, whatever. But you're not coming into the United States anymore, which is good. Finally, somebody stepped up to the plate, which is Donald Trump. And in Mexican media, they're hitting him so hard that he's the culprit. He's the evildoer. Okay? Trump is criminalizing the aliens. He's not criminalizing anybody. Look at that. They're trying to jump over the fence. Just like that. Now, these people, they're not educated. Their IQ is not that high. They didn't go to school. They don't understand there are rules, that there are laws, that there are constitutions, and there are immigration laws, and that they have certain rights, but not all of them. Article 33 of the Mexican Constitution states very clearly that if they become political, the moment they enter a country like Mexico and they become political or a political movement, which they already are, some of them, they will be stopped and deported. But I
You can get customized insurance and save money with Liberty Mutual.
don't see that happening anytime soon. Now, that happened on the 1st of January, 2nd of January. Tear gas was thrown. Look at them crossing over the border, fleeing themselves across the border. The pictures speak for themselves. Why would they do that? They will just be arrested here and be deported. All because they want to make it political. They want this. Look at that. Look at the insignias on the border. Okay, this is a clear insult and a declaration of war, in my opinion. When somebody comes to your door and says, I don't like your fence, I don't like your wall, I would ask the mayor of Los Angeles, Arturo Villarraigosa, why he would have his own, Antonio Villarraigosa, why he would have his own little wall around his house in L.A., around his mansion, if he's so pro-immigrant. He's a Hispanic mayor. Why would he, the mayor of L.A., he already built it, by the way, a 6-foot security wall erected around his mansion if he's so pro-free immigration and everything? Okay, you see, it's the same thing. It's hypocrisy, political hypocrisy. And then they're allowing these people to come up to the border. Now, they're desperate. I already told you that last time. They're desperate. They want a job. They want shelter. They want somewhere to live. And El País, which is a newspaper from Spain, is already doing special front page feature stories about how they've arrived to Mexico, they're stuck at the border, and where's that leading them? Well, they tell us that they're receiving jobs, which is a lie. I can vouch for this. 4,000 of the Central Americans supposedly were already connected to jobs in Baja California. This is a lie. This is just a lie. I can just say it right now. They say that 3,926 of the 6,000 that arrived in Tijuana already got a job. That is not true. I read it in the local newspaper of the illegal immigrants that arrived to the job fair in order to get their situation normalized within Mexico because they realized they cannot enter the United States. They wanted to, legalize their situation. First, they offered them a job and said, we can offer you this and your papers and your Mexican green card and so on. And what happened? Well, you know how many got admitted into, let's say, the economical sector? They got a job and their permit and so on. 140 out of the 6,000. Now, we know that the first shelter of the 6,000, 3,000 were taken to the new shelter in the eastern part of Tijuana, which is near the maquiladora industry. We know of those 3,000 that arrived there, only 100 are left. Nobody knows where they are. Okay, then the other 3,000 that were at the shelter, the first shelter, they left. And they fled. Nobody knows where they are. So that's 6,000 less, 5,900, nobody knows where they are. News stories lie. Because I have not seen them. I have not seen them in their job places. There's no other story that talks about this. Now, they're trying to make us believe that they have a job now. Now, Milenio, which is a Mexican news site, milenio.com, is pro-AMLO. They transmit his live speeches like for hours without any commercials on Mexican TV cable network, right? So you can see how they're becoming pro-AMLO and anti-Trump as themselves. Why Trump is criminalizing the border, okay? He's criminalizing, not the border, I'm sorry, he's criminalizing the immigrants. Here it says criminalización, okay? Now I want to show you this because just so you get a feel for this. You can clearly see here how much more blood has to be spilled, is the headline, okay? Here, criminalización, can you see that? The criminalization of the migrants is being reiterated by Donald Trump. It's not true. Not true at all. He didn't even say that in his speech. He was just talking about how organized crime, drug traffickers are taking care of the immigrants, and that's where they are. All these makeshift shelters that are being created in warehouses along Tijuana are being used by human trafficking organizations that are want to get these migrants or illegal migrants or whatever you want to call them across the border. And here's how it goes. Illegal immigrants that are already in the United States are family members of many of the people that are within the caravans. They just give them a call. Money is being sent into Mexico so they can have food and housing, whatever, and they can pay these human trafficking organizations in order to get across the border. That's what's happening. That's why you don't see the 6,000. Now, we have people from within the caravans that have spoken out. A lot of them have returned back to their country. That is true. There were like almost 20,000, remember? And 7,000 returned. 6,000 are somewhere in Tijuana or Baja California. I don't know where they are. Some of them have already been processed by U.S. immigration, probably. But here's the deal. The money is being sent down here by their own family members, which in themselves are also probably illegally inside the United States. From 13 to 30 million illegals are already inside the United States. That's 10% of your population. That's ridiculous. Anyway, when you could just apply legally, why do they have to do things illegally? Because they like it, because they're leftist. If they love America so much, why are they, showing their own home country's flags as they throw themselves over the border? Why are they using the flag of Honduras or the flag of Mexico as they march through the streets of Los Angeles? If they love America so much, wouldn't they be using the American flag instead? So you see, it's not logical, it's nonsensical. But that's what you have. A lot of these people have an IQ that is smaller than a lot of people that have not received an education. So they don't understand things the way Americans do, that there is laws that govern the land. Anyway, other top stories that are just the headlines so you get a feel of what's going on. Mexican Foreign Ministry is asking the United States to investigate the use of tear gas against the migrants across the border. You see, the U.S. government is evil because the U.S. government is not letting them through freely. There's resistance. Oh my gosh. The Customs and Border Patrol are defending America. That is really bad. Now, another story, headlines here. They closed one of the shelters in Tijuana. And the immigrants didn't want to exit because they already paid for the human trafficking. That's what's happening. Okay, they already paid to get crossed over the border. Okay, now, here, migrants. Notice they don't use the word illegals. They don't use the word illegal immigrants. They just use the word migrants, migrantes. Now, I'm getting a migraine just for talking about the migrants. But anyway, migrants are resisting to leave the shelters in Tijuana. Why are they resisting? Well, why? Why would they resist? Because they already paid to get across the border. That's what we're being told. Now, we're being told that there are also Mexicans inside the shelters passing off as Hondurans with a very fake accent just to get across the border too, that they've been deported many times. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Mexicans abuse the system in itself because Mexicans, they're very good at lying and very good at stealing. And they get upset because I'm Mexican and I'm saying these things. And they get upset because I'm conservative, I'm Hispanic, I'm Christian, and yes, I'm patriotic. And they get triggered by it. And I don't know why. Because I don't look Mexican. You know how much I suffer from discrimination myself just because I don't look Mexican? But that doesn't mean I'm not Mexican. You go down to Guadalajara or Sinaloa, and you see the whitest people on planet Earth. I mean, there's people like me in Syria, okay, with blue eyes and blonde hair. I mean, really? We get to the point where they say it's white privilege. That's the issue. you, Alex Backman, are white privilege, and they are not. And no, that's a racist comment. And I refuse to accept any comments that have to do with race, because this has anything to do with race. This has not have to do with race. Now, the new government ministry, the Minister of Government, which is basically like DHS in Mexico, she controls the internal issues of the Mexican government. Olga Sanchez Cordero said that she has information that in the middle of the month, a new immigrant caravan is forming to come and storm through the border. Well, we broke that news way before her, so it's nothing new. Oh, and they say they are going to reinforce the southern border in Mexico. Now, my question is how, Olga? How are you going to reinforce the border with Chiapas when there's a river and these people are crossing through the river? They tore down the wall, basically, the fence, and attacked the Mexican federal police. They attacked the helicopter. We showed you the video. We showed you the video. I even uploaded a video, subtitled the video. You saw it, all right? So here they said they're going to reinforce, okay, to stop the new caravan. Now, the story, if you go into the story, well, it's a video, but they're not going to militarize, and that's an issue in itself. They're not going to militarize the border. It says the Mexican government will fortify the southern border to prevent that a new storming of the border by Central Americans happens, and that they enter Mexico in an orderly and nonviolent way. Do you believe that? Do you seriously, I'm almost done, thank you. Do you seriously believe that they are not going to enter nonviolently when they close the border and they say one by one, no, we want to get in right now? I mean, it's going to happen again and again and again unless we have a wall. Now, the best thing would be that part of the $35 billion package that the U.S. is going to give it to Mexico, to the new government, be used to build a wall at the Chiapas-Guatemala border. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. The new government, just so you know, in their heart, they hate America. They hate America. They always have. The new leftist party, Morena, they hate America. They're celebrating that the Walmarts in Mexico are empty. They're celebrating it. Anyway, it's just sad to say what's happening, but Mexico is being dissolved as a country. And it's gonna...
I saved money with Liberty Mutual's customized insurance. Some of it went towards a family trip. We can't say where.
Become like a new Venezuela. That's the truth. And anyway, they're going to try to stop them and have them cross the border in an orderly fashion. Well, that was already tried, and it didn't work at all. So Olga Sanchez Cordero then said they're not going to militarize the border. Then they attacked Trump for his incredible speech that he gave. Excellent speech, by the way. Excellent speech by Donald Trump on how much more blood should be shed. Okay? So they go and they dissect his speech using these pictures and saying that he's criminalizing the migrants. Okay? Now, all the leftist media in Mexico is against Donald Trump. They think he's a neo-Nazi. They think he's part of the Ku Klux Klan. This is the truth. And they are attacking the President of the United States. Even though they even did this. They dissected every single part of his speech. There's a humanitarian crisis, a security crisis that's growing on our southern border. True or false? Absolutely true. Thousands of Americans are being murdered by those who have entered illegally. And thousands of more will die if we don't act now. Is that fake news? No. It really is happening. Although I did the research, and I do have to accept that crime rates on the border with Texas have been going down as of 2017, which is good. More than 20,000 children migrant children are victims of this broken system. It's true. One of every 3 women of migrant women are being raped when they come through Mexico. That's true. This is a cycle of suffering, human suffering, that I am willing to finish or end. I have presented an initiative to stop all the criminal gangs and human trafficking and drug trafficking across the border, which is excellent. Excellent. I have asked, he says, I have asked for $5.7 billion to build a wall or a steel barrier, okay? Not of concrete. It doesn't matter. Just stop them anyway, right? And the wall will pay itself, and the cost will be over 500 billion. The cost would exceed $500 billion, much more. No, I'm sorry. He's saying the wall would pay itself. I'm just translating here. And just for the excess of drugs being pushed into the United States, $500 billion. So it would be much less than what we are asking. The wall will indirectly be paid through the treaty that we have done with Mexico, the USMCA, and so on, which, by the way, has not been ratified, and which, by the way, Congress has not approved. Why? Because Donald Trump is not stupid. He's saying, I'm going to wait for the other caravan to come, create another chaos at the border, and I'm going to tell Mexico, we're not signing the NAFTA deal, the new NAFTA. We're not signing the USMCA, which they call it TMEC in Mexico, TMEC. Okay, the Treaty of Mexico, Estados Unidos, and Canada. Okay, the TMEC. So anyway, the USMCA, TMEC is not being ratified, you see, because of the economical messages that Mexico is throwing right now. I think the U.S.-Mexico relations are going to be affected by this second caravan. I think there's going to be a possible continuation of the shutdown in the United States. And he attacks the Democrats that they don't want to support the border. And finally, he ends saying that how much more bloodshed do we have to have for Congress to do its job? And I totally agree. The U.S. Congress has to start acting in favor of the American people and border security itself. Because, you see, in Tamaulipas, right across the border from Texas, there was another killing. 24 people died just in a shootout. Border drug-related violence is, out of control along the border because the cartels are fighting because of the stupid policy that the previous presidents had of going full-fledged against the cartels. So anyway, I just wanted to keep you updated with regard to the caravan, keep you updated with regard to the news. The last one was there was a mutiny in Mexicali, Mexico, right in front of Calexico. They had illegal immigrants arrested inside the immigration authority, holding cells, and they decided to burn down the house, literally. Okay, they grabbed their mattresses and burnt them in protest of being freed. They want to be free migrants. You see that? And now, here it is. Okay, here it is. This is the story that I want to share with you. From Olga Sanchez Cordero, the new Secretaría de Gobernación or Ministry of Interior. Here is she saying that she's going to reinforce the border some way. But the second story is we are not going to militarize the southern border to stop the immigrants. And this was said by Encinas. Now, this guy, Encinas, the guy with the white beard, that you see him right there, this is Olga Sanchez Cordero and Mr. Encinas. He's the human rights representative on behalf of the Mexican government. He said that they don't want to build like a door or a wall along the southern border, though they are going to implement some operations so that the influx of immigrants is done in an orderly way. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Do you really truly believe that the subsecretary of Human Rights and Population of the Secretaría de Gobernación, his name is Alejandro Encinas Rodriguez, denied that he's going to militarize the southern border, which is what is needed, and that the new before the new caravans are coming, and basically he said that they're going to do just some operations to guarantee that security security is guaranteed for the migrants. So there you go. They're going to guarantee the influx of the migrants. You see, they're going to allow them in. They're going to let them storm in. They're not going to create resistance for them coming into Mexico. So there you go. Mexico has just become a United States puppet state. And you, America, okay, will have to deal with the issue until you open up the border for George Soros and company. It's out of control. So please, don't stop protecting your border. You see, borders help us to respect each other. We already talked about that last time. So, we have a new militarized police system coming, and the cold is kicking in, and our borders are in peril on both sides. So, what's your opinion? Comment below. I'm going to leave you with some stories that I'm doing some research on. I would like you to read the links below in the description box of these stories that right now I am investigating. Do you think that immigration can be used as a weapon? A weapon. Do you think that? I think so, and I'm doing some research on it. And there's a story here from ammoland.com, which is illegal immigration as a weapon. Okay? I want you to read that story. I have another one that I'm reading from the New York Times. Smuggling illegal immigration costs, what it costs to get somebody across the border. I'm going to be reading up on that for next time. And also illegal immigration and refugees. This is by the Army U Press from the United States Army University Press, which I read. And there you go. Illegal immigration and refugees. I'm going to put the link below. And I'd like you to read Migration as a Weapon in Theory and Practice. It's a PDF that you should definitely read. Okay? And the other one is this book by Kelly M. Greenhill, Weapons of Mass Migration. I have both PDFs. I'm already reading them, and I would like you to read them as well. Okay? It's a short read. It's 14 pages long. Migration as a Weapon in Theory and Practice. I'll be reading up on this and talking about this next week. Okay? So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Comment below. And this is from the Institutional Archive of the Naval Postgraduate School.
The rule of three states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing than those that don't. We couldn't agree more. Three SUVs, one GMC. Ring in the new year with a new GMC. Get 19% below MSRP on these select models in stock. We are professional grade GMC.
From Calhoun, thank you for them. From the MPS Institutional Archive at their D-Space repository from 2010. Weapons of Mass Migration, Forced Displacement as an Instrument of Coercion, Strategic Insights. So this is a definite must-read from the Naval Postgraduate School up in Monterey, California. Thanks to them for this excellent publication so we can get a better feel of what's going on. Okay? So there you go. It's not me, it's the Wall Street Journal, people. Mexico reduces U.S. gasoline imports. Mexico is going down the tanks. I'm very sad because Mexico is going to become the new Venezuela. Sorry to say. And also this from the National Review. The ironies of illegal immigration. The ironies. Okay? So all those links, I'll just put them below in the description box, and have a happy new year. For CR News and everybody, that made this update possible, Thank you for subscribing to our channel. No, not all our videos are in English. Not all of them. Some of them are. But I'll be updating you on the Caravan and other issues that have to do with Mexico and other things south of the border, so you can know. And I know that Mr. Trump has watched our video. So, hello, Donald Trump. Thank you for watching. Semper Fi, and thank you for protecting your nation. Until next time, bye-bye.